If you are hearing this now, it is because the connection between you two still pulses in the invisible. There is still a thread vibrating between what has been lived and what time still holds. Nothing is truly lost. What seems like distance, sometimes it is just the universe breathing for you. There are days when silence hurts more than any poorly spoken word, and you feel that he feels, but pretends not to. You notice it in the details, in the way he avoids you to not get lost in your gaze, in the way he steps back to not give in again. It's as if love is still there, but hidden, masked, suffocated by fear. You try to move on, try to convince yourself that it's time to let go, but something inside you insists on staying, not out of attachment, not out of need, but because it knows, somewhere beyond reason, that this story is not over. It has only paused. A sacred pause, necessary, often painful, but deeply transformative. If this message has already begun to touch your heart, subscribe now. This channel is not about content. It is about spiritual rescue. Every word here is a mirror, every sound, a reminder of what your soul already knows, but the world tried to make you forget. Today we will talk about this distance that tears apart, about the absence that screams when everything around falls silent, about the soul that feels, that cries out, that senses, but is learning to wait without losing itself. Because maybe, and only maybe, this distance is not the end. Maybe it is just the beginning of healing between you. How many times have you wondered if he still feels? If he thinks of you in the early mornings when sleep doesn't come? If this silence is protection or punishment? How many times have you tried to convince yourself that it's over, that it's time to move on, but deep down, you just wanted a sign, a glance, a confirmation that it wasn't just you who lived all that? It's hard to love with the soul when the body has nowhere to rest. It's hard to feel this deep connection and yet see him leave as if nothing ever happened. But soul love doesn't follow human rules. It doesn't fit into the logic of the ego. It comes to heal, and that's why sometimes it hurts first. You are not hearing this by chance. This message reached you because there is something pulsating in the energetic field between you, something that wasn't broken, just being reorganized by the universe. And yes, it can hurt. It may feel like rejection. It may feel like abandonment. But take a deep breath. Silence yourself inside. Because what seems like an end, sometimes, is just the beginning of a new awareness, a new phase, a new chance for love. But this time, with truth, with surrender, with awakened soul. Are you ready for this journey? Because what comes now will touch places inside you that may have been asleep for a long time. You wonder why he distanced himself. What happened between that gaze that seemed eternal and this chasm that now exists between you? How can someone touch so deeply, open so many doors within you, and then simply disappear as if nothing had ever been real? But you know it was real. You feel it was. Because no superficial connection leaves this kind of trace. No casual encounter marks the soul this way. What you lived was not just passion. It was a portal. It was a mirror. It was awakening. And that's exactly why it hurts so much. Distances like this are not common. They don't follow the pattern of ordinary relationships. They come laden with purpose, with spiritual codes, with deep lessons that the human mind still struggles to understand. It's not about him not wanting you, nor about you not being enough. It's about something bigger, something that involves the soul of both of you, in a silent pact of mutual evolution. You tried to be strong, tried to move on. You told yourself it was time to move forward, but there's a part of you that still vibrates when it hears his name, still looks for signs, still feels his presence in the little things, in dreams, in coincidences that only you seem to notice. There's still something unresolved, not in the external world, but in the internal universe. And that's where the conflict lies. Does he think of you when the city falls silent? Does he miss you, even when surrounded by other people? Is this distance an escape, or a form of protection? Does love end, or just transform when it needs to teach something? You feel there's something beyond words, beyond unanswered messages, beyond the last meeting. There's an energy between you two that cannot be explained, but also does not disappear. And sometimes, this leaves you lost, between wanting to forget and not being able to let go. But don't blame yourself. This kind of love cannot be forgotten with effort. It doesn't fade with time, because it wasn't built in time. It came from another place, from an origin that cannot be measured or explained. It came to remind you who you are, and perhaps, no matter how contradictory it seems, it distanced itself so that you could find yourself again. Yes, there is pain in this process, and it's okay to feel. It's okay to cry, to doubt, to ask yourself 1,000 times what went wrong, because it's not easy to face the absence of someone who activated so much within you. But it's not in vain either. Every silence carries an invitation, every absence, a call inward, because it is in the pain of separation that the soul begins to hear what the ego has always tried to silence. This separation, as harsh as it may seem, is clearing the field. It is revealing what needs to be healed, not just in him, but in you as well. It is taking you inward, to the center, to that part of you that always knew how to love, but perhaps has forgotten how to love yourself. Not everything that seems like an end is an end. Sometimes, it's just the universe preparing you, placing each piece in its place, removing what blocks, teaching what needs to be remembered. True love is not lost. It only matures in silence. It only strengthens in the pause. Do you still feel? Do you still wait? Do you still believe there is something there, even without knowing how to explain it? Then listen, not to the world, not to the advice that tells you to forget, but to your soul, because it knows, it feels, it sees beyond appearances, and maybe it's just waiting for you to trust a little more in the invisible. The pain of abandonment is not just in his absence, it's in the echo that remains inside you. It's as if each of his silences amplifies your own internal noises, as if each distance reopens old wounds you thought you had already overcome. But the universe does not waste pain. When something like this happens between two souls that recognize each other, it is not just about the other leaving. It is about everything that comes to the surface when he departs. The insecurities, the fears, the traumas, the emptiness. Everything that was buried deep inside starts to scream. And it is at this point that many give up, because facing the mirror that a twin flame brings is not for everyone. Loving like this is dangerous for the ego, because this kind of love does not tolerate masks, nor armors, nor protective games. It tears apart, it reveals, it heals, but first it destroys illusions. You may think he distanced himself because he doesn't feel the same, but what if it's just the opposite? What if he felt too much? What if, when looking at you, he saw himself so deeply that he didn't know how to handle it? Sometimes, the ego cannot bear the truth that the soul reveals. It gets scared, it runs away, it makes excuses, hides in other bodies, distances itself as if nothing had happened. But you know, you feel, you saw in his eyes something that cannot be feigned, something that cannot be rehearsed. That was real, and because of that, it was too much. The love of the soul does not need promises. It needs courage to exist, and not always are the two souls ready at the same time. Yours may already be. His is still trying to understand what happened. The soul calls, but the ego screams, and when it screams louder, it's as if everything you lived loses its meaning. But it doesn't lose it. It only withdraws. It only silences, until there is enough spiritual maturity for that love to be reborn from a cleaner, more conscious, more truthful place. You are not crazy for feeling what you feel, nor are you alone in this. Many souls go through this journey of separation, of doubt, of waiting, of longing, not out of weakness, but by destiny. because the reunion can only happen when the inner reunion takes place first. The universe listens to what you don't say. It sees when you cry silently, when you ask for answers, but deep down you already know, when you feel longing but pretend to be strong. It observes every detail, every vibration, every thought, and responds, but not always in the way you expect. Sometimes it responds with silence, with distance, with the absence of a response from the one you most wanted to speak. But it's because this silence is teaching something that no word could. It's teaching you to trust the connection even without guarantees, to love without depending, to feel without losing yourself. And this is part of the healing. When you stop fighting against the absence, something inside you begins to align. When you accept that perhaps the now is for gathering, you allow the universe to show you what was invisible until then. And little by little, the pain stops being just pain and transforms into a portal. You begin to see that he is not just the other. He is the reflection, the mirror of that part of you that you were also avoiding to look at. That part that feels insufficient, rejected, forgotten, not by him, but by yourself. And it is at this point that the true miracle begins, because the separation between you is revealing the separation within you, the disconnection with your own value, with your own light. And when you start to heal this, everything around you begins to transform. If any part of this video is resonating with you, comment here. Write what your soul is trying to say. This is not just a video, it is a mirror for your journey. Every word that echoes within you is a call, a reminder, a chance to return to yourself before any external reunion happens. His silence is not the end. Sometimes, it is your beginning, the beginning of your healing, of your reconnection with what is yours. Because as much as his absence has hurt, it was she that forced you to turn inward, to leave the labyrinth of unanswered questions and finally start to listen to your own soul. And that's where everything changes. You begin to realize that it wasn't him who completed you. It was you who forgot. It wasn't his love that sustained the relationship. It was your desire to be seen, recognized, validated. And when that failed, you crumbled. But now, little by little, you are starting to rise. And this time, with deeper roots. What this separation is trying to show you is not about his absence. It is about the presence that was missing in you, the love you were seeking outside, but didn't yet know how to offer to yourself, the security you asked him to provide, without realizing that true peace begins in your own heart. And all of this only comes when silence enters, because in the noise of confused feelings, of trying to fix the other, of chasing after answers, there is no space for the sacred. The divine only reveals itself when you stop, when you surrender, when you accept that you have no control and that it's okay this way. Before he comes back, you need to return to yourself. Before any message arrives, you need to listen to yourself, because maybe deep down, it was you who was letting yourself go, leaving yourself behind every time you made his love your place of belonging. Every time you placed your happiness in the hands of someone who didn't even know where their own hands were. You were not wrong for loving. Don't blame yourself for believing. You simply felt something real, in a world that is still learning to feel. But now, it's time to transform that love into healing, into light, into surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It's trusting. It's letting go of control, not of feeling. It's telling the universe, I know there is a greater purpose in all of this. I don't understand yet, but I accept, and I choose to trust. This is the surrender that heals, that realigns, that makes space for miracles. And if there is to be a reunion, let it be between two healed souls, between two wholes. Let him come back because he felt it, not because he was pressured. Let you receive, but not expect. Let love be free, because only free love is true. You don't need to prove your love if it is already love. Loving is not diminishing yourself. It's recognizing yourself. It's looking at yourself with so much presence, with so much dignity, that your own light begins to heal the other, even from a distance. It's possible that at this moment he is going through his own processes, that he is also feeling, but doesn't know how to name it, that he seeks you in other people, trying to understand why nothing else fits. Because the truth is this: when two souls recognize each other, nothing else compares. There may even be distractions, but the inner call never goes silent. Therefore, don't waste your energy trying to understand what's happening on the other side. The most important thing now is what's happening inside you. What still hurts? What is still missing? What do you need to look at with more care? Which parts of you are still waiting for permission to bloom? This is the time of the soul, the time of gathering, introspection, silent rebirth, like a seed that breaks through the earth in the dark before seeing the light. Honor this time. Don't fight against it. Don't rush it. True love doesn't hurry. It ripens in the invisible, and when you least expect it, something begins to change, not outside, but inside. And then, what's outside begins to reflect this new frequency, because true reunion never happens out there first. It starts in the spirit, and only then. It manifests in matter. You are not the part that waits. You are the part that awakens, that lights the way in the midst of abandonment, that transforms pain into wisdom, silence into presence, emptiness into a temple. Because deep down, your soul always knew what seems like absence from the other is, in fact, a call back to oneself. The love between twin flames does not disappear. It transforms. It goes through trials, through phases of intense purification, through distances that seem impossible, not to separate, but to awaken, to cleanse everything that still prevents this love from blooming in its highest form. You did not come to this world to beg for affection. You are not here to be half of anything. You are whole. You are an expanding universe, and whoever is your mirror will feel it. This spiritual journey you are living, between the pain of loving and the strength of holding on, is making you magnetic. It is refining your energy. It is activating codes within you that were dormant. Each tear that fell in silence was a release. Each sleepless night was a reunion with parts of you that you had forgotten. Each time you chose to continue, even without knowing the way, was a vote of confidence with the divine. And that has power, because when you return to yourself, he feels it, even from afar, even in silence, even in denial. He feels it, because it's not about words. It's about vibration, about energy, about the invisible field that connects you both. Even when everything seems separate, perhaps he still doesn't understand what he is feeling. Perhaps he fights against it. But your peaceful presence has more strength than 1,000 messages demanding answers. Your balanced soul reverberates in his field, even without you saying a word. You don't need to be with him to be at peace. Because true union doesn't start in touch. It starts in the spirit. When two souls recognize each other, there is no distance that can separate what has already been united in the plane of truth. And if you are to reunite, it will be. Not out of insistence, but out of harmony. You are returning to yourself. And this is the greatest gift that this distance could give you. The most important reunion, the one that happens between you and your essence, has already begun. And when this reunion is complete, everything changes. You begin to attract from a different place, to live in a different way, to choose with more awareness, more love, more presence. And if he comes back, it will be because he recognized in you the light that you yourself began to recognize. And if he doesn't come back, you will no longer be in the place of lack, because your wholeness no longer depends on his presence. It has blossomed within you, and from that, everything that comes will be a blessing, not a need. You are light. You are the way. You are healing in the form of presence, and whoever is able to find you in this state will not want to run away anymore. True love does not need to bind. It frees. It honors. It sustains. It remains, even when everything around crumbles, because the soul feels. the soul remembers. And what belongs to the soul cannot be erased. What belongs to the soul, time cannot erase. The universe takes care, and when you let go, it prepares. Nothing is in vain. No encounter happens by chance. No separation is without purpose. Everything is in service of your evolution, including what hurt the most. You have come this far not out of weakness, but out of courage. You did not give up, even when everything seemed dark. You kept feeling, even when there was no sign from the other side. And this, in itself, is a strength that the world cannot measure. This love, this connection, this silent call between the two of you. All of this was, is, and always will be a bridge to something greater, to a spiritual rescue that began with the desire to love the other, but ultimately brought you back to yourself. Now you are no longer the same as before. The pain has shaped you. The silence has matured you. The absence has taught you to be whole, to be for yourself, to be present with truth, with roots in the soul. If this reunion comes, and if it is meant to come, it will. Let it be from soul to soul, without demands, without dependencies, without halves. Let it be light recognizing light. Let it be love that does not suffocate, but elevates. But if it does not come, you are already where you needed to be, because your peace no longer depends on their return. It has blossomed within, and everything that blossoms from within, no one can take away. If this message spoke to your soul, subscribe now. More is coming, and perhaps it is exactly what you need to hear. Here, every word is a portal, every narrative, a mirror, and every encounter, a chance to return to what you have always been. Tell me in the comments, do you feel there is still something between the two of you? Or do you feel you are finally returning to yourself? Your process is unique, but your pain is not solitary. There are thousands of souls awakening at this very moment, going through the same doubts, the same silences, the same cycles. And together, we are reclaiming something sacred, something the world has forgotten, but the soul has always known. You do not need to seek anyone else. Twin flames do not seek each other. They find each other when the soul is ready. And if you are hearing this now, it is because the time of your soul has come. Welcome back.